We'll get started in just a moment. We're waiting for everyone to populate into the room. Got a few more coming in. Okay, let's get started. Well, good afternoon and welcome to all of our CEBI members and their staff to the end of an era for B2B sales and marketing webinar. Glad to have you with us. My name is Robin Taylor and I'm the manager of member services here at Chief Executive Boards. I'll be your host today. So if you have any questions along the way, just send a message in the chat box. We will be taking a few breaks during the presentation to answer some questions, and then those that we don't get to, we will answer at the end. I know most of you on here are already familiar with CEBI and what we offer, but in case you do not, a quick summary. We are an executive peer advisory service, which is headquartered in Greenville, South Carolina. We have local boards in cities on the East Coast and the Midwest, and those meet quarterly. And then most of our membership gathers nationally twice a year at different locations across the country. Webinars like this one are recorded and can be accessed on our site. And you can learn more about CEBI and have access to these webinar recordings by visiting chiefexecutiveboards.com. And just real quick, the webinar is approximately 45 minutes. It is being recorded and will be available on the site in approximately 24 hours. So before we get started with the actual presentations, I'm going to turn things over to Kevin Minton quickly before we introduce our speaker.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Hey, good morning, everyone. And it's a pleasure to have you join us today for this exciting webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started, and it's my privilege to introduce you to our presenter today, Nick Skislak, who is the founder of SSDM, based in the Detroit area of Michigan. His company is a trendsetter in growing companies through strategic integrated campaigns. SSDM has made the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies list in 2019. They also that same year won the Small Interactive Marketing Agency Award of the Year from Interactive Marketing Awards. And Nick is just a fantastic guy. We really appreciate you being with us today. And Nick, thank you for joining us. It's my privilege to turn it over to you. And Nick, why don't we go ahead and get started?
All right, Kevin, thank you. Everybody that's on, thanks, welcome. It's good to be here. It's good to have you. Thanks for taking time to sit and spend some time with us. So I'm going to be brief. I'm going to be on time is what I'm going to do. I'm promoting anything that you guys want to ask. As Robin said, chime in, let me know. I want you guys to get as much value out of this as possible. There's a lot of exciting things happening in the world of sales and marketing. And I think one of those things that's evolving rather quickly here is our sales and marketing team. And then furthermore, sales team and what they do, marketing team and what they do. And we're seeing a lot of changes happening, I think, post-COVID. And I'm going to share some of this with you guys. So real quick to open this up. I'm a marketing guy, right? I'm the CEO of the marketing agency that I represent, but I spend a majority of the time in the sales seat, obviously. So I love to poke fun at salespeople. I love to poke fun at marketing people. But what I don't like is I don't like factions between sales and marketing. And that's what's happened and been happening for a very, very long time. And I don't know, I hope there's some Mad Men fans on the call. But simply put, sales guys say the leads that marketing generates are useless, right? I'm a sales guy. I'm generating my business on my network, on my center of influence, on referrals. Marketing's maybe doing this stuff over here and sending interest or inquiries, but it's not really our target audience. They're not ready. They're not qualified. Marketing, on the other hand, right, says, hey, we've done all this work. We've done all this great work to generate interest, to generate inquiries. And the sales team isn't putting in the work that they need to nurture these leads like they do with their referral business. This causes the rift, right? Sales versus marketing. And that's what we're about. We're about integrating internal sales and marketing teams because we believe that's what is demanded of being successful in sales and marketing because of this new onset of how we're consuming data. And I'm going to take you through this. This is the only slide you have to agree with me on. And this is the buyer cycle, right? This is as old as us trading rocks in the pro-magna era. Starts with awareness, right? Right at the top. First thing you do, you become aware. After you're aware of a product or a service, it goes onto your list of consideration. You make a choice, you buy, you have some sort of post-buy experience. So if I say, let's get lunch, you say, all right, let's get some pizza. We go on our phone, we Google pizza, who's closest, who's cheapest, who's got the deal, who's got the best pizza. We make a choice, we buy, okay? Then we have a post-buy experience. If it's a good pizza, we tell our friend. If it's bad pizza, we go on Facebook and we tell everybody we know how horrible the experience was. This is very powerful today. The medium's changed, right? But this buyer cycle certainly has not. Sorry about that, guys. So what's important for us to realize in this buyer cycle, that it's much different, right, than what it was then and what it is today. And I want to spend a little bit of time articulating the differences, because I think for us as business leaders in our organizations, it's easy for us to forget where we are today. Now, this is where we were. That is, as probably all of you know, Johnny Carson. I showed a picture of Johnny Carson to a graduate class at Western Michigan University no more than 4 years ago. And only a handful of kids knew who this was. And I say kids, these were 22, 23, 24-year-olds 4 years ago. These people are now 28, 29, 30 years old. The thing with marketing and communication back then, and I would have loved to be in advertising in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, or 80s for that matter, it was mass marketing. You had minimal mediums, very low market segmentation, and you could basically send a message to one place, broadcast it to a huge, huge audience. And if you were okay, if you were medium, you were going to win. And you were going to win because most of the attention and most of how we consumed media was the same. We all read the newspaper. We all watched Johnny Carson. Everybody watched Johnny Carson, by the way. The other network that ran the same time slots, the other networks didn't even attempt to compete with Johnny Carson. They ran reruns of old TV shows while he was on television. So in the day, right, not so long ago, networks couldn't even compete on this level with one guy, right? Johnny owned nighttime. Now we have much more options. So we went from this door-to-door billboard, direct mail, yellow pages was huge, right? AAA plumbing, AAA this, AAA that. Go to the first page, get the full page spot in the yellow book. The yellow book was this big. You remember this? And it was this big. Now it's like this big and they call it eco, but it's not eco. It's the ad space that they can't sell. What was important for us and a huge advantage that we had, a weakness in many ways, was that this was a one-way communication. It was one-way communication with our audience, with our brand, us as the brand, projecting a message to our audience. And our audience really didn't have all that much to do about it. You could write a letter to the business if you weren't happy or if you were happy. But certainly our network of influence as consumers was somewhat minimal. We could tell our friends and family, but we really couldn't cause too much damage as consumers. Then this happened. This, again, another slide here, very important to know. We forget this. I told you only a handful. There was probably, I don't know, 100 students. It was at a big hall when I gave my speech at Western Michigan. Only a handful knew Johnny Carson. 0 of them knew this screen. 0 of them raised their hands when I said, do you guys know what this is? No one knows what America Online was, AOL, Instant Messenger. They grew up beyond this. They grew up with these already in their hand. And this has happened in the speed of light. So I think it's important that we know, or that we keep track of, how quick this is moving. Okay. This happened. It got everybody online. It broke down walls basically overnight, certainly in the bounds of how we were gaining information or how we were consuming information. This is what it spawned, right? It spawned all of these networks, if you will, all of these radio stations. So, the TV was replaced for Hulu. The radio was replaced with Sirius XM. All of these TV stations that we used to click on our television, we're now scrolling through in some sort of feed, mostly on Facebook. What's important to know about this, though, really, really fun, interesting stat, is that all of the content that was created from the beginning of time, so the scrolls of way back when, up until I think it was like 2008 or 2007, all of that content over those thousands of years, that much content is now being created on a daily basis. So when you think about how much we as consumers are now inundated with content, how easily accessible content is, there's an enormous abundance of content, which I think a lot of you know, but there's a huge scarcity in attention. So everybody's really good, and we talk about this, and I'm sure you guys do in the meetings as well, is like emails. We get all these emails and all this stuff's thrown at us. Yeah, and it's garbage. And it's garbage because it's not getting your attention, because it looks like every other thing that we get. So while we have this great opportunity to get more content or consume more content as a user, us as brands now have a huge responsibility to get attention, because that's super, super hard. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So what's happened, right? What has happened since the birth of AOL and now all of these social media networks? Basically, we started to segment. Okay. We found out that, hey, if I'm a guy that's really into patio furniture, I can find other like-minded people just like me that are into patio furniture. Although all of those years of suffering, not being able to talk to like-minded folks who appreciate outdoor furniture, I now have many, many options of how I can consume data or interact with that audience or those peers. So where we had low market segmentation, now we have extremely high. I put on here Google for yellow pages, right? We used to have to go to the yellow book. Now we go to Google. Word of mouth does not come from word of mouth anymore. It comes from Facebook and Instagram. Direct mail replaced, obviously radio. You guys are familiar with this. Mobile phones for anything and always. This is the second device. This is on the hip. You all know this. The biggest piece of this, why this matters, is because for brands, we just went from a one-way communication, opportunities and threats, to a two-way communication, which brings a whole new set of opportunities and threats. The opportunities greatly outweigh the negatives too, by the way. So that's kind of where we were. That's where we were, where we are today. I think the key is to know that there's options, right? There's a lot that we can do. We reached out post-COVID to over 200 marketing professionals in Metro Detroit to kind of gauge what the internal response was to COVID-19. Okay, we wanted to see what they were doing, in particular, what their internal marketing and sales teams look like in this environment. Okay. Question number one was, what is the most important factor to the success of your sales and marketing? 44% responded with lead gen, okay, followed by 36% content development and strategy, and then 20% analytics and ROI. I think you can tell what kind of sales-driven, or a majority of these organizations being sales-driven organizations or revenue-generated organizations versus marketing-driven organizations. Majority of B2B companies, majority of companies are revenue-led organizations that splits into sales and marketing. This depicts, everybody says, we've got a lead problem. We are not getting enough leads coming in to our business to continue to grow. That was the That was the problem. So, second question, what is your greatest marketing challenge? Number one, so the number one thing for success was lead gen. Biggest marketing challenge for them was lead gen, followed by analytics at 37%, brand awareness. We had some marketers take the survey. That's good to see. Brand awareness, and then 6%, I don't know. Nick, it's okay. That 6% admitted that they didn't know. So biggest opportunity for success is leads. Single greatest challenge is leads. Most important metric for leadership was leads. So we said, so we're looking at this data. We said, what is going on here, right? What's happening? Why is everything rest in this lens of we're not getting enough leads? We're not getting enough opportunities to close business. And we found out what the answer was. Pre-pandemic, sales and marketing organizations with internal sales and marketing teams. Internal sales teams pre-pandemic, this is basically how they spent their weeks, right? 80% of their time was spent on prospecting opportunities, looking for more opportunities to work, basically lead gen, right? They were going to networking events. They were going to expos. They were going to conferences. They were picking up the phone. They were offering to take people out to lunch. They were offering to take people out for a cocktail after work. This was the grind. This was the hand-to-hand combat of a salesperson. Smile and dial, if you will, knock on the doors, get impressions, get in front of prospects. 15% of their time was nurturing deals or nurturing leads and writing proposals. Followed up with about 5% of their time closing deals, which this was the makeup. And for the most part, this worked, right? I, as a digital guy, have argued before COVID that the pendulum was swinging, right? That me as a consumer, I'm less likely to take a cold call, right? Back in the day, I could have made 100 calls and set 4 appointments. Today, I make 100 calls, I'm going to set 1 appointment. I believe that to be true before COVID happened. This definitely swung the pendulum quicker. This is very important. I wanted to share with you guys. Demand Gen recently reported that 87% of B2B buyers' customer journeys now take place doing online independent research. Okay. 87% of B2B buyers' customer journey, so all the touch points that they make from the time their boss comes and says, I need something, until a deal is signed and they're actually implementing the solution, 80% of those engagements are done independently online by themselves. What's also important to know is that 83% of B2B buyers today are millennials. 80% of B2B buyers today are millennials. They are people my age or younger who have a fear of picking up the phone. They have a fear of face-to-face. They have, and I'm not trying to generalize millennials in any way at all. However, when you're looking to create business solutions for your organization, they believe, we believe that we're much better doing independent research on our own than being sold or taught these skills to a salesman from a salesman. We'd rather do it ourselves. 13% of their buyer's journey includes speaking with the sales professional. What's important about this is not about sales is dead. Sales is not dead. Sales is not over. Sales has never been more alive or more robust, I believe, than ever before, because we have a lot more opportunity as salespeople to make sure that 87% that's being done on the front end of this is got our brand on it. It's got our knowledge. It's got our thought leadership. So by the time they come in at the 13%, when we come in the half end with the meeting, we've already closed the deal, right? So what about all of this, right? So what? Where do we have to go? We have to get to a point where we're holding our sales and marketing teams to KPI driven initiatives. we have to do things. And what we found when we were looking at this stuff is that all of the sales and marketing efforts that were being done inside organizations were heavy sales, and marketing was kind of getting to do their fun stuff. Like marketing did like the banners, and marketing did the signage, and marketing did the Google thing, and marketing did the Facebook stuff. And they like posted, and it was cool when we opened our phones and we saw our own brand on there, and okay, cool. Marketing's doing their job. Well, marketing was driving you impressions, but now since sales teams have their hands tied to some degree, I think it's opened up a huge sheds a light on maybe the lack of initiative that we've had on the marketing end, meaning we were kind of letting our marketing teams get by with just doing stuff, not really tracking what they were doing because the sales team was backing it up, right? The sales team was coming in at the end, making everything look good. So today, what I really want to do is spend some time talking about how we can better integrate our sales and marketing teams and kind of go into some tactical things that you guys can really take out of this and try to implement. So clearly understand today's buyer. I think we're in an era where fluffy content that no one cares about is very much alive. So we have to understand our buyers. What are the 5 questions that we all need to have answered before we make a purchase? This is important. Implement a marketing video project. And how can we present this data to our leadership team, to our sales and marketing team? What do we need to look for as leaders that makes sense, that we can invest more or invest less and have confidence in the decisions that we're making about this stuff? And this is the foundation of it. This is where it starts. This is our sales and marketing funnel. This is not the sales funnel. This is not the marketing funnel. This is the sales and marketing funnel. Vocabulary is very, very important when you're talking with your sales team and your marketing team. If you guys can start including both of these things, we go to marketing. I just gave a presentation in 2019 at the Digital Summit in Detroit. The Digital Summit goes around. It's in a bunch of towns. You guys may have been to one or heard of one before. I spoke, okay? I wasn't asked to speak. I did a promotion, a sponsorship to speak. Great audience, maybe 50 people in the crowd. How many people are in the marketing team? Everybody raises their hand. How many people in the sales team? 2 people raise their hand. So we are, as organizations, sending our marketing teams to all these fun expos and learning sessions, but we're not including the sales team. We're telling the sales team to go hammer out more phone calls, go on more appointments, go do more work, go get more prospects, go get us more leads. And it's creating factions. I digress. This is our Bible here at SSDig. There are 5 levels of this funnel: awareness, action, engagement, conversion, and advocacy. Everybody, and under each of these awareness phases, these are very, very important. Unaware, I don't know there's a problem. The best example that I'll give, and I'll be very brief, is the wand windshield wiper or windshield cleaner for the inside of your windshield. You guys maybe remember this from years ago. This was a great infomercial product and it did really, really well. And the idea was you had a triangle pad on a wand and it gave you the length to clean the bottom of your windshield in the top and all over. Before then, what'd you do? You had to like lean over, get the thing wet, you're hurting your back, stretching your arm, tear your rotator cuff, whatever. Until I showed you were doing it wrong. Hey, doing it like this, you were unaware that that was a problem. You knew your windshield was dirty and that was the only way to wash it. You didn't know of the solution. You didn't even know you were pain aware. Not until I told you that there was another way to clean the windshield did you say, hey, the way I'm doing it's wrong. I am now pain aware, right? Infomercials do a good job of taking you through all of these phases in a rather short amount of time. But I'm sharing this with you guys so you can see the difference between lead gen and demand gen. Lead gen, someone already knows. If my basement is flooding right now, my part is broken right now, I'm going to Google and I'm finding a solution. If you're in demand gen, People don't know about your product or service. This is something new. This is something innovative. You need to create demand for that before you can start creating leads. Pain aware, you know that there's a pain. That's us going basements flooded. Solution aware, you know you have a foundational issue in your basement, right? Now you're calling the foundation guy. What are my options on fixing the foundation of my cracked foundation? Finally, you go to the best level of awareness, which is brand aware, meaning when my basement floods, I already have the guy. I already know who I'm going to call. He's already been there with me before. He's been there. He's good with his work. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to call him back. We can't treat brand aware. We can't treat unaware or pain aware prospects like we treat solution aware or brand aware customers. It's very important. Action, right? This is all web focused now. So you go to the next phase, action. Stop scrolling. Okay, cool. You got them to read what you're posting, get them to click. Then you get into engagement phase. There are levels of engagement though. Everybody loves the idea of put me on Google, click my ad, get them to email, call, or submit the form, and then give me a sale, right? That's not how it works. We have to let them read, watch, or listen to our content. Even better would be to like, comment, and share on it. Even better than that, email us, call us, submit a form. Then goes into the conversion phase, and everybody loves the conversion phase, but there are 3 levels of conversion that you got to get to before you get a sale, or 2 levels before you get to a sale. MQL, this is marketing qualified lead. This is somebody who's raised their hand and expressed interest in the products or services that you provide. I'm interested. Tell me more. That for us as marketers is, okay, cool. Let's show them good data, thought leadership data that addresses their pain so that we can get on their solution, on their list of consideration. Next is sales qualified lead. That's an SQL, sales qualified lead. Sales qualified lead means, okay, I'm interested. Now I'm ready to talk. Now I'm ready to move this forward. I have a deadline. I'm looking at 3 potential vendors and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get engaged and start the process. Finally, after that, you create a proposal and you get your sale. This phase between MQL and SQL, this is where the biggest rift between sales and marketing departments lives. Marketing people say, hey, I just got us 100 MQLs. These are emails, phone, name, place of business. We can understand who our audience is. We know what they're looking for by what they filled out or what they asked for on the phone. This is great data for us. And it's got us 100 prospects that we can send further content to, whether emails, whether we hit them with ads, whatever the case is. Sales guys don't really care about MQLs, right? What is the value of an email list? Like, what do I care if it's a 5,000 email list or a 10,000 email list? I want to talk to the guys that are buying today. The gap that needs to be bridged is that MQL to SQL. And it's a both side conflict. It's not just the sales people's fault, but we have to educate our salespeople and our marketing people as to the sales process, but have them understand the value of these 100 MQLs, not just the 4 to 5 of them that are going to turn into SQLs or for a lot of sales teams. I know you get for your sales guys, you get your sales guys on 10 meetings. They're going to close half of them. You're good sales guys. This isn't the same thing with an MQL. So when you talk to 10 MQLs, you're not going to get 5 of them into the SQL rating within 90 days. That's not what it is. Your timeline shortens as you get deeper into your sales process. So to not value these MQLs properly with your sales team, with your leadership, makes it really, really hard to see the long-term value of what you're doing, because MQLs are generating your audience. SQLs are generating your prospects. We have a better audience to profile from a marketing standpoint. It's going to make our salespeople more successful in closing deals. The best thing that I try to get our clients' internal marketing teams to be wrapping their heads around is that just as much as we're into marketing And that is, and this unaware, pain aware, hey, people that don't know who we are, we want to be in front of, people experiencing these pains we want to be in front of, people looking for these solutions, we want to be in front of them as marketers. But most important, we want to be a sales enablement team for the sales team. We want to do all the things that we can do for that sales enablement piece for our sales team to get buy-in, right? To get buy-in for this. After you move into conversion, obviously the experience matters, right? Your customer service, are people sharing their experience with others? And then the best thing that could happen is they purchase again. What's easy to do with this is shortcut this. It's easy to say, hey, get my ad up, get them to click, fill out a form, give me a sale, and then they'll buy again. That's what we all want, but we can't skip. You can't skip any of these phases. Some go quick, some go longer, but we do all go through all of these things. So the joke is that this is what we want. This is what we think our customers do too. They're going to Google us. They're going to fill out a form. They're going to call us, and our sales guy is going to get a meeting with them, and they're going to close the deal. And that typically happens. This is what I hear. That typically happens in, 30 to 90 days. That is not what it is, right? That's what we want it is. We think it's something like this. This is what marketers I hear say this stuff a lot. Hey, it's going to take frequency. They have to see an ad a few times. They have to engage for a while. And, this is more what it's like. It's not your 30 to 90 days. It's really 90 to 180 days, right? That's our typical sales cycle. This is really what it is. We've studied hundreds and hundreds of customer journeys. Okay. So looking at past, because we can do this now. I can look, you guys today, go to the website, my website, fill out a form, leave, come back forever. And we will know what pages you visited every time you open an email, every time that one of our salespeople talk to you. We will know all of these things. Looking at hundreds and hundreds of user data paths, we've never found two that were the same. This is not a hack, right? This is not if you do this and then this and then this and it's perfect. And this will take your 90 days and it'll take it into 60 days. No. It's different for every single one of us. It's different because we're on different timelines. We have different budgets. We have different priority. And all of those things add variables into this thing we're calling marketing or digital marketing. What's important for us to realize is that this does take time and that we have to continue to put value on things other than sales or other than number of meetings that we went on. I see way too many sales teams only focused on pipeline value. So their bosses are coming, their sales managers are coming and saying, I don't care what it takes. I need X amount in pipeline because I know when I have X amount in pipeline and we close 40% of it, by this time, I'm going to get this much money. Well, it's making these salespeople go blind running at adding pipeline value. One, forcing pipeline value that probably isn't all that realistic, or two, forcing these consumers into positions that I'm not really comfortable with as being a consumer, trying to pressure me into things that might not be a fit, but sales guy's got to hit his number. So he's kind of forcing them into these things. This is not consumer centric. This is not a consumer centric approach. This is being sniffed out better now than it ever has before. We used to like going into you guys maybe don't know ABC Warehouse. It's a electronics store. You can go buy TVs. And you go into ABC Warehouse and you hammer out a deal with the sales guy. That's the vibe. It's called ABC Warehouse. You go in there, you talk to a poorly dressed salesperson who's only probably been there for 2 weeks, but you can go and hammer out a deal. And I love it. I love doing it. Most people don't like that. And ABC Warehouse knows that this is happening. They are drowning in 50 locations spread across the Midwest that no one wants to go to anymore. They'd rather just buy it online and not deal with haggling over a price. They want to know what the price is already. So we have to be realistic about these things. We have to do things as marketers. Our marketing teams have to support this new environment for our sales teams' prospects. And it's really hard. One of the biggest deficiencies I see with organizations that we're working with is that the vocabulary is off. I had mentioned that before. The vocabulary, when we're not using the same terms, the same words, people get confused, and it makes people not really clear on what their KPIs are. What am I supposed to be doing here? So level one, and I'll send this to everybody so you guys can have it. And I just gave some real, like my examples. This is kind of what we're using. What does an impression constitute? What does an action constitute? What's an engagement, conversion, and advocacy? So when we come in with scorecards, how are we doing? Awareness, are we driving impressions to the ads? Action, are we driving traffic to our website? Engagement, are people filling out the form, picking up the phone, downloading our case studies, messaging us on Facebook? Conversions, are we getting to call 3 and 4? Are we setting up in-person meetings? Are we setting up needs analysis, proposal meetings, whatever your guys' things are? I see this across all organizations. Hardly anybody tracks advocacy. Hardly anybody asks for referrals. This is the biggest opportunity that most companies today are missing out on. Getting an opportunity or creating an environment, experience, a digital experience, a page on your website that shows appreciation for the customers you have, and incentive for them to go and find more that look like them, is completely undervalued, and something that is probably the easiest win for many. But nonetheless, another huge issue I see when people aren't getting the leads that they want. Hey, we're not getting enough leads. Marketing guys come in and say, pour into the top of the funnel. You guys probably get this too. This is every $5 Facebook boost promotion, right? Or get started with Google. We'll give you put in $100 and we'll give you $200. That philosophy is pour in more to the top of the funnel. Hey, you got a lead problem? More impressions, more ads, more traffic, drive more traffic. I'm saying that's not the thing. Just as important it is to vet or validate or qualify your prospects when they're on your website, it's just as important for you to unqualify them. Let them know that they're not a good fit off the gate, because what we see a lot too with the web is that because of this attitude, sales teams being driven by maybe pipeline value, there's a lot of time spent with bad prospects, right? A lot of meetings spent with guys or organizations that aren't really qualified to work with us. And we're sending our sales teams out meeting after meeting after meeting on this stuff and addressing like front end content that could have stopped it immediately. We're addressing at meeting 5 and 6 with prospects, and you just wasted 7 hours of meeting time, when if they would have known this up front, they would have been better qualified, and you guys both would have saved a lot of time. The pressure of this funnel, where it's got to go, where the biggest deficiencies are in this middle section, this engagement section. The root of this is content. This is the biggest issue. The olden days, you could you get your spot on Johnny Carson, and you will run that spot for years, at least a year. And that's good. You can pay 50 grand to the production house to make you a sweet spot. Then you're paying media fee, media runs just to run the spot over and over and over. The shelf life today on this stuff, on promotions, is weeks instead of months. That thing that I spoke about attention and scarcity, that's very, very real. We do need to do more. Every one of us needs to be a media company first. I really, really believe this. You need to be number one at creating content, thought leadership, and experience around the problems that you're solving. That's your number one order of business. Number 2 is your business. So ABC, I had this talk with ABC Warehouse. You're not in the TV biz anymore. That's number 2 behind positioning your organization from a media standpoint on how you can drive the conversation for everybody looking for a TV or a dishwasher or a fridge or whatever it is. This is very challenging for organizations because it happens so quick. we used to be able to, and I hear this too, like with the, oh yeah, we got a blog going out and we got a post going up and we're doing this and we're doing that. Don't let frequency hide you from results, right? Like I get a lot, like, what's the KPI? Oh, that we post twice a week. Don't post twice. I mean, if you're not getting anything, like, what are people clicking the ad? Are they clicking the content that you're posting? Are they going to the page that you have and reading more about the information, reading your case studies or your downloadables? Are you setting up appointments from these initiatives? Tie everything that you do to some sort of result. And it's got to live out of this engagement piece. Driving impressions is easy. Driving web traffic is easy. Getting a bunch of people to enter into your website's easy. Getting them into the lower phases of your engagement funnel and then nurturing them through the conversion process, specifically in B2B, that's the work. And that's where your marketing efforts need to go. Doesn't need to go into the Facebook posts and Instagram posts and LinkedIn posts that really your small network and fan base likes, right? And I'm victim of this too. I love posting and getting 20 likes on it. Then I'm really happy about it because I know the 20 people and they see that I see it. But if the key isn't to, is this a brand a re-engagement campaign? Hey, we want our past clients to know that we're involved, that we're posting, that we're engaging, that we're creating content and thought leadership, that we're addressing their pain points. We just want to get that in front of existing customers. That's what's important to us. Awesome. Drive strategies, initiate strategies that back that up. Don't try to get something else for an easy task or an easy tactic. I see that done a lot. This is what's happened, right? So this is where we are today in the post-pandemic world of COVID. This is what it needs to look like for a sales team. And this is a hard pill to swallow. I know it is. I can only imagine, I like to think that I've got 15 years of good sales experience. If I had 25, if I had I have a solid network. I like to think I have a network, but if I'm a sales junior or a sales guy that's been in an organization for 10 to 15 years and my sales manager comes to me and says, hey, you were spending 80% of your time prospecting clients. We got a new thing happening now. We want you to spend 55% of your time creating content, providing solution seeking content for specific pain points with our organization. And we want you to work with the marketing team to do this. They might look at you a little funny, right? However, this needs to be presented and pitched and packaged to your internal sales teams to let them know that this is going to be the future of how they're going to see further success in the organization. Everything where we are today as a salesperson, as a consumer, as a B2B buyer, I want to know who you are before I meet you. I want to read your content. I want to scan your LinkedIn profile. I want to watch videos of you speaking. I want to see the case studies that your organization has done related to my pain points. I want to do all of this, 80% of the work before I meet you, because by the time I meet you, you're already in, right? You're already there. So getting guys to say, hold off on the 55 phone calls an hour, maybe put some more effort into packaging up what you're seeing in the marketplace. I'll tell you this, there is no marketing guru out there that knows your business better than your sales team. Your sales team and customer service folks know your organization better than any marketing guy ever will. You don't need them for that. You need the marketing guy to package it and promote it and activate it and measure against it. Your sales teams, I see a lot of organizations sitting on this wealth of knowledge from their sales teams, not asking them. So they're paying marketing people to go find out the answers to questions that the sales team already knows. This is where you got to bridge the gap, sales and marketing integration. 30% of your time engaging with audience, providing relevant insight. This is maybe the more prospecting piece, nurturing, and then get it up to 15% of time spent closing deals. We've initiated this with an organization over the past 18 months, right through the heart of COVID. And it was when you do a shift like this, it's a shock to the system, right? An organization that makes the decision to say, all right, we need to rethink our play of not just, I'm not talking about canning salespeople and hiring a bunch of marketing people. But I am talking about holding your sales team accountable to different things. When you start holding your salespeople accountable to different KPIs, you start seeing a lot more opportunity be created. So now instead of marketing working for marketing, marketing is starting to work for your revenue. Marketing is starting to work for your salespeople. That is the magic of this. That is where the big changes happened. And we're seeing great results from it. I'm seeing great results. I had a 4-person sales, 5-person sales team before this happened. As I said, I saw the pendulum turning before COVID. So I made some shifts before COVID and then obviously during COVID, and took those funds away from a sales driven kind of pre-pandemic position or position and moved it into more of an engaging thought leadership approach through content and nurturing prospects. And it's been working very well for me. So what do we tell, right? What is good content? I think this is a piece that everybody needs to know. There's way too much brand fluff, BS content that no one really cares about. I mean, I think the easiest thing to do when a guy like me says, hey, you got to create more content for your brand and you got to get more stuff out there. Okay, cool. Let's go hire a 30 grand, 40 grand content person and they can post to social media. They're college kids, so they must know about social. That's not it. That's not what it is. The focus of this needs to be creating engaging content. And this, okay, so I said there was only one slide that you can disagree with me on. I actually mean that there's 2 slides, because this one I would love to talk. We could talk more about this later, but no matter if you're buying a coffee mug, an iPhone case, or a $250,000 injection molding machine, you need to have the answers to these questions before you pull the trigger. What is the price? What are the problems associated with it? How many products compare? How does this product compare to other products? What are other people saying about it? What's the best about it? Why is it different? What's the thing about it? Number one is the price. I know, and I've heard all of the price stories of, we don't put our price because our prices are custom and not everybody know, our prices are different and they fluctuate. And I've heard our customers don't buy on price. We don't want to sell on price because we're not the cheapest. So we don't want to show our price. Though I'll say this, I understand the fear in talking about these things upfront and early in marketing collateral or on your website or out front, because you're afraid that you're going to commoditize your brand or commoditize your business. What I'm saying is that by not talking about these things, you're commoditizing your business, because none of your competitors are talking about these things either. Majority of companies now are skating around these questions with high level fluff. I don't want to turn anyone off. I don't want to scare them away before my great sales guy or sales gal can talk to them and show them why it's the price. That attitude is costing a lot of wasted meetings, a lot of wasted opportunities. And I think if you can put some of this at the forefront of your marketing message in your collateral, you're going to see more qualified prospects. You're going to see higher close ratios. The best thing that we want when we go to the website, when we go to the internet, we don't go to the internet to be sold stuff. We go to the internet to buy, absolutely, but we certainly don't go to the internet to be sold. We go to the internet to do self-research. I said they do 87% of independent online research. When we're doing independent online research, looking at 3 or 4 options as a B2B buyer, we're trying to consume massive amounts of data, get these questions answered with minimal work, with minimal effort. I've seen organizations adopt this philosophy of the, excuse me, the ones that said, I can't do this. Our industry doesn't do it this way. They're adopting these philosophies, seeing better conversion rates, seeing a higher chance of closing business and less wasted appointments. We are all searching for data. We are, as buyer, we want the answers to this. We're going to get them one way or the other. I said at the beginning, Just as much as this is about qualifying prospects, it's about unqualifying them as well. Not talking about being cheap. I'm not talking about the lowest price. I'm not talking about blasting your competitors or anything of the sort. But I am saying giving these guys the information that they need from your website will be 10 times more valuable to you than them giving that information on one of your competitors' websites. Meaning, if you can be the one that breaks through the wall and starts sharing the stuff that all your competitors are scared to talk about, you will be at the forefront of this. Really good book by a guy named Marcus Sheridan. It's a inbound. I'll get it to you guys later. Marcus Sheridan. He's maybe read or wrote a couple more books, but you type in Marcus Sheridan, it's inbound something. Okay, wrapping it up here. Video project for the sales team. Something you can take. Go back to the office, get with your sales and marketing team, have them come up with, ask your sales team, hey, what are the 5 to 10 questions that you get asked the most on sales calls? And this is like, what are the most common questions your sales guys get? Give them to us. Ask each sales guy. You will find a 80 to 100% overlap in the responses that you get. So you're going to get these responses from your sales guys. These responses are going to be very similar, meaning there's going to be a list of 3 to 7 questions that all of the sales people handle these questions from their prospects. So we're going out appointment after appointment, maybe not so much anymore, but call after call now, Zoom after Zoom, to answer these 5 to 7 questions that we're not putting at the forefront, that we're not answering for our consumer in the onset, in early phases. The whole gist of what I'm pushing, what I'm about, I want to take that intimate one-on-one sales talk that we do with prospects when it's just one-on-one. I want to take aspects of that conversation out and put it at the top of our marketing. I want to lead with it. This will be a nice little project that you guys can do to kind of start that journey, right? So get the questions. Then from everybody, you'll have 100 questions or 80 questions or whatever. Narrow those down to the 3 to 12 or whatever that you guys have, that everybody asks, and create videos about each one of those questions. Create a video about each one of those and answer them to the best of your ability. This doesn't mean you give prices. This means you explain how you price. This doesn't mean that you have to call out your competitors and why they're better or worse or whatever. Show the difference in your products and others on the market, good and bad. If you do this, you will be in the driver's seat. You will be in the driver's seat of massive, massive growth. Lastly, these things on the right here, there's 3 numbers I think imperative that everybody knows when they start getting into this stuff, integrating sales and marketing. You start buying impressions, buying traffic, generating traffic, trying to get conversions. Got to know your lifetime customer value and give the real lifetime customer value, not just the 12-month value. Because I work with a lot of guys and gals that don't really like to give the full lifetime customer value. They just want to give like the year revenue. No, really think about it. If you keep clients 3 to 5 years and they pay you 10 grand a month or 10 grand a year, that's a $30,000 to $50,000 lifetime customer value. Going to be really important that you know what that number is when you start talking about cost per acquisition. There are a lot of companies on the web, e-commerce, retail stuff in particular, that know that they're losing money on the first sale. They have no problem spending $18 on a conversion from Facebook on a $12 purchase price in their cart. So they're spending 18 bucks on a Facebook ad, getting a piece of converted traffic that buys $12 worth of goods. They know this is worth it because they're going to send them an email a week for the next 18 years and generate really the lifetime of a $3,000 lifetime customer value. And they paid 18 bucks for it with a really good back-end marketing automation, email, and remarketing campaign. This is happening. So if you don't know what your lifetime customer value is, it's going to be really hard for you to come up with a strong cost per acquisition, right? Of what am I comfortable with investing to acquire that new piece of business Visitor value is also a huge number that I love looking at. All it does is takes the total amount of traffic you get per month, and it divide that by the amount of sales you get per month. Existing customers, doesn't matter. If you've had them forever, doesn't matter. What are they worth? What are they worth to me in my industry? I do $1 million a year. I get 30,000, or I do 80,000 in sales a month. I get 30,000 visits. Every visit I get to the website is worth $2.70 to me. This will be really helpful to know too when you get into the media game, right? Start investing in driving more traffic and doing those things. But I see a lot of guys and gals want to do this, want to get involved, but they don't know what their lifetime customer value is. They don't know what their threshold is for cost per acquisition. So it makes it really hard to see, hey, is this really what we want? Is this what we want to do? But really good stuff. Lastly here, hold on here one sec, guys. Do I have you?
We're still here. The screen's just locked up, I believe.
All right. Well, we made it pretty close. We almost got there. I can go backwards, but not forwards here. Hold on one sec. That's really all I had. I'll put up the, you know what I'll do once I get it? I'll put up the, contact information. That was my last slide. So I made it pretty much through. I'll get this last slide up, but if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
I do have a few questions, Nick.
Yeah.
Let's see. The first one is, no one returns personalized phone calls or emails anymore. What kind of individual approach can we make with reaching current customers about expanding our relationship?
ABM. So you're talking about no one returns personalized phone calls or emails anymore. So I think this is a good example of treating an MQL like an SQL. I think you're trying to go after these guys. If they're not returning a phone call, they're not a sales qualified lead. Don't treat them like a sales qualified lead. If they're an MQL, a marketing qualified lead, they're not sold yet, right? They may have put their hand up at one point. And for you, I think current customers, and you want to talk to them about more things that you do, maybe more things that they don't know about or services that you provide. This has to be done on the front end where you're not in a position. So I think this is Guy. Guy, you want to go and you want to pitch them. You want to sit down and you want to get a presentation and give them a full on, this is what we got for you. You're not getting that. No way. You have to come up with a new way. Make a video for them and send them the video, and then put a link in there so you can track if he went to it or not. These are the kind of approaches. He wants to hear the pitch, maybe, but he wants to do it on his terms and probably not through a presentation, certainly not a phone call or an email, I assume.
Okay, and then the next question we have is from Brad, and I believe he's trying to clarify the lifetime customer value, revenue over a certain number of years divided by customer over those years. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah. All I was trying to get revenue over X years divided by customers over those years. I think that could do it for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And I've got one more question. I think we'll wrap it up. Let's see. What do you see as the makeup of an internal marketing team? How does that look?
Totally. I think where we got to get good, marketing's gotten way harder. Marketing's gotten a lot tougher because of how hard it is to get attention. All we had to do in the old days was get attention, right? Marketing was attention, get attention. That was easy to do under 3 television stations and 1 expo a year, right? It was easy to get a big booth. Now there's all kinds of things where we need to get really good. You need in-house strategists. You need in-house marketing people that really understand your industry and understand the platforms. The tactics of all this stuff, don't hire people to post Facebook I know that's the easiest move, right? It's the easiest move. It's like the most entry level. You don't need entry level. You need really good mid-level strategists and good content support. So I'm really big in the 3 on an in-house team. You want a really good strategy guy, one that gets it. You want a really good design guy, somebody that knows how to work with forms and build websites and make them look pretty and do all that stuff. Then you want a wordsmith. And this is the guy that's going to know how to, write and speak about your industry. So I'm really into the 3, art, written word, and then some sort of, lead marketing strategist. That's the start.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions we have for now. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to wrap things up. And thank you so much, Nick.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Nick. Want to thank you for sharing your knowledge and information with everyone today. And what a great presentation. A couple of years ago, we started to notice a shift in how people were buying, and I had a really cool conversation with Nick probably 6 months ago about this topic. And he had a lot of the answers that I think we were looking for. And so said, hey, Nick, would you be willing to share this with some of our folks on a webinar? So yeah, you can definitely see there's been a significant change in the buying patterns and the way customers are engaging today. It's not the same old pattern that it used to be anymore. And not only that, the COVID situation accelerated it tremendously. And so there's a new way, there's a new game in town as to how people are buying. And Nick just did a fabulous job of illustrating all of that. So Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to share all that with everyone. I see you were able to finally get your contact information up there. If anyone has any questions of Nick, I want to invite you to reach out to him or to us as well. And you can see his contact details there on the screen. We hope all the attendees have found this session helpful. And I want to invite you to contact us with any questions. And thank you very much, Nick. Thank you to our attendees. And I hope you have a great afternoon and a great Memorial Day holiday this weekend. Take care.